the army jackets, the match and shit like that. Nas got super jiggy with it. I got to give it to Nas. I know I was buying shit to Nas.
The narrative you want to paint, you still got to listen to me talking to you right now in 2025. What I did for Nas probably never been done for him in his life. He's never been that viral at all, ever.
He's rich as I won't give it to him. But in that day, in the 90s and shit like that, we was trying to buy everything Nas has, from the Helly Hensons to rugby jackets. Nas had that B-boy stand.
Jim Jones is making noise again, stirring up the scene like hip-hop's public enemy #1. After years of throwing shots with no response, it looks like Nas finally clapped back at him, ending that long, one-sided feud with the Queensbridge legend. Now it's June 2025, and out of nowhere, a wild clip of a Jim Jones fan has gone viral across TikTok and YouTube, and people can't stop talking about it.
You said, and I quote,
Yo, Eli, stand on it, bro.
Jim Jones. Who was the old nigga? So you coming back into the old era.
I grew up on Jim Jones.
Okay, you saying Jim Jones has more hits than Nas?
For anyone confused about that viral video, the whole argument actually kicked off on an episode of Drex's Don't Quote Me podcast. They brought on a young guest out of Atlanta who dropped a wild hot take, and it spread like wildfire, echoing through hip-hop circles, Twitter feeds, and the entire rap game.
Never in my life said at a party, yo, throwing that Nas right now.
Okay, and
I never did that.
During the podcast, one member dared to compare Jim Jones to Nas in terms of fame and relevance. That was all it took to set off the 22-year-old guest, who's a hardcore Jim Jones fan, sending him straight into full beast mode on the mics.
From New Jersey, ballin', we grew up on ballin'. That's one. We did not grow up on One Mic. Even though I went back and listened to One Mic, and that's a good song, it's a classic song, we grew up on ball.
Only 6 days after that clip blew up, Jim Jones popped up on Fat Joe and Jadakiss' podcast, stirring the pot even more. He boldly claimed he's not just better than Nas, but also more viral, more relevant, and way hotter right now.
I did for Nas probably never been done for him in his life. He's never been that viral at all, ever. Ever. He's never been talked about like this ever in his life.
Now, has Nas reached out to you?
You did. The last time he was in some like this where people were comparing is when him and Jay was beating on him. You heard?
After that young man's clip went viral, the internet went wild, especially Nas fans who ate it up instantly. Many said his words should have never made it on the podcast in the first place. And ever since, trolls have been on his neck non-stop. But believe it or not, that was just the beginning. The drama only got messier and started setting social media on absolute fire.
That are also not around anymore. Been gone. Diamond, 5-time platinum, 4-time platinum, gold artist. I've seen it since 1997. Gone. I'm still here.
Since that podcast clip went viral, Jim Jones wasn't about to let his young supporter take all the heat alone. He jumped right in and dropped his own explosive 2 cents, controversial enough to stir the pot even more.
Truly, if you gonna talk about me, I'ma always talk my shit. You know, I know how this game goes. I don't want nobody to think that anything that I've done was me starting. That was just me being asked a question and me answering as a man.
He slid onto Fat Joe and Jadakiss' podcast and turned the heat all the way up. Not only did Jim double down on saying he's more relevant than Nas, but he also bragged that he's the better rapper and a bigger commercial success than the Queensbridge legend himself.
Picture to be in a hype man, or he wasn't the best rapper, or he just started to get whatever you want, a narrative you want to paint. You still got to listen to me talking to you right now in 2020.
Even Fat Joe and Jadakiss were left stunned by Jim's bold declaration. But Jim stood firm on business, daring not just the hosts, but the entire internet to check the receipts. He told them to pull up his Billboard Hot 100 entries next to Nas's and see who's really winning. According to Jim, he's already crushed Nas in both streaming numbers and chart placements, claiming victory hands down.
All my entries, and check all them niggas' entries and shit like that. And I'm not taking nothing away from nobody, but I hear the comparisons and the niggas be trying to act funny when it comes. No, I've been spanking a lot of this shit. I'm talking about the industry. I've been putting on. So let's not get into that where we get into numbers and I gotta show you the statistics of what I've done. You heard to what other people was done. You heard them. You wanna go to the Billboard entries, pull up Nas Billboard entries, then pull up my Billboard entries.
Listen, we can't compare the two. What I'm trying to tell you is
I wanna go there and
hold on.
You'd think Jim would stop there, but nah. El Capo wasn't finished stirring chaos. He played the generation card, claiming Nas is outdated and barely even listened to anymore. Jim doubled down, saying his own son and plenty of the younger generation don't even know who Nas is, painting the Queensbridge legend as a name fading out of touch with today's culture.
He's your son.
He's your son.
No, but he knows
my son.
they know about
my
Nas.
son can't tell you one Nas record. You heard? Like, let's keep it a buck here.
Yeah, but
like, let's keep it a buck. You heard? Let's keep it a buck.
Because of all this, Jim got dragged by everybody and their mama online. Nas fans and hip-hop purists came swinging, flooding him with backlash. One fan even joked Jim Jones was checking his legacy temperature with the wrong thermometer. Others straight up called him crazy and flat out disrespectful for throwing dirt on Nas's name, making the internet roast hit even harder.
But I like trouble, if that's the case, you know what I mean? If that's what we're going into. And not to say it like that, but you know, I'm for it. I'm built for it. This is what my whole thing was built on, was that type of engagement. And so here we are. And I gave people a prerequisite. Like, yo, I know how to go viral. This is easy. We're in an easy society where it's very easy to...
People take that bait so easy.
Too easy.
He kept getting roasted everywhere, even in his own comment section. But knowing Jim, he was probably loving every second of that clout.
Young gentleman that they asked the question to, and his viral clip went viral. It was a young kid from Atlanta. He was on a podcast and they asked him who's more relevant, Jim Jones and Nas. And that clip went super viral, and that led all of these people at platforms
to ask you that question.
Even with the internet dragging him nonstop, Jim Jones refused to back down. He just kept running his mouth louder. Many called the move delusional, tone deaf, and nothing more than a failed attempt to boost his bag. But of course, none of that fazed him. In Jim's world, more trolling just means more money, and the backlash only made him push harder.
Music out. It makes it that much easier to know who Jim Jones is. It makes it that much easier for you to become a fan of Jim Jones. Like, I'm worried about myself when I make all of these moves. At the end of the day, I know how to turn my negatives into a positive.
The very next week, Jim Jones popped up on the biggest black entertainment podcast out right now, Club Shay Shay. When host Shannon Sharp pressed him, even asking if he was drunk when he claimed to be better than Nas, Jim still stood firm on his word. To be fair, this time he tried to clean it up, saying he wasn't claiming to be more lyrical than Nas. He even gave Nas his flowers, admitting he used to bang Illmatic heavy back in high school. But then Jim flipped it, saying Nas hasn't carried the same level of relevance since. And that's where the shots kept flying.
I admired Nas, but remember, Nas' first record, The Barbecue, came out when I was in 11th grade. So Nas was my idol when I was young. Like, you dig? Came to dressing, the wordplay, the music, everything. I was a superior Nas.
When it came to cultural impact, street cred, fashion, business moves, and influence on the younger generation, Jim swore he deserves way more respect. He reminded everyone that Dipset shaped the mixtape era, set the swag, and built the rap aesthetics in a way Nas never touched. Nas might got the bars, Jim bragged, but I got the blueprint for a whole lifestyle. To make it even louder, he pulled out $450,000 cash right on the podcast table and dared any rapper, including Nas, to face him in a rap battle just to prove who really runs it. And through all of this chaos, Nas stayed completely silent.
I would have bought a bar with anyone. With anyone. You heard? There ain't no beating around the bush. I've been saying it, bro. I want smoke in the booth. You heard? That's the only way to settle this one. We all can put out dope freestyles. We all can put out dope music. I want smoke in the booth.
After that episode dropped, the hashtag Jim Jones started trending on X again. And suddenly every hip-hop fan was searching up both Nas and Jim all over the internet. Naturally, people expected Nas to clap back, or at least pull up for the challenge. But from the very start of this drama, there's been radio silence from Nas and his entire camp. It almost feels like he's deliberately ignoring Jim's antics. But while Nas stayed quiet, his fans sure didn't. Jim has been getting cooked non-stop ever since that viral clip, and the trolling just keeps getting darker by the day. From wild memes to non-stop clowning, Nas fans refuse to let Jim slide for coming at their legend this time. And let's be real, most fans already know this isn't Jim's first time pulling stunts like this. Long before the beef with Nas, Jim was known for taking every single opportunity to sell himself, no matter if it was scandal, rumor, or controversy. As long as it got him back in the headlines, he was riding with it till the wheels fell off. That's why so many believe he's just milking this Nas beef for clout. But with the long-standing silent tension between the two, nobody can really say for sure. Does Jim truly have it out for Nas? Or is he just playing the opening to keep his name buzzing?
Lobbed 100K and said, who won it? It's up. Who want to go?
100%. I ain't got 100 on me now. I got like 40, 50 on me.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's right up. You can get this right now, man. Right now. Any one of you
The
niggas,
real
you heard?
person.
Right now. And it ain't a money thing, but this is here. You heard? If you want to get busy, is the money on the line. Any one of y'all from my era.
Whatever was running through Jim's head when he decided to respond to that viral clip, he definitely didn't expect it to explode the way it did. He later even admitted that much. Meanwhile, NAS fans flooded his comment section, dragging him with every name in the book and trolling him across every corner of the internet. Jim claimed he didn't see such a furious response coming, but he insisted he knows exactly how to spin it, turning all that negativity into streams, attention, and most importantly, money.
Wave, but it didn't carry over the way that we seen other artists carry over that was supposed to be in his position. He was supposed to be a leader of, but he didn't get to finish his mission. Really, I don't care about that part. You think I care?
Things got even wilder when Jim finally admitted he might have exaggerated his own status just to milk the viral wave. In an interview with Angie Martinez, after she flat out accused him of trolling, Jim didn't back down. Instead, he laid it out saying, "We are in a community where everything turns viral and everything viral turns digital. And digital ends up with streams and turns into a revenue stream for me." He basically confessed he was flipping the whole moment into money.
We're in an easy society where it's very easy to...
People take that bait so easy.
Too easy.
It's a little scary, but you seem to like not, I mean, you clearly are not afraid of it. But I see you also seem to lean into it.
Sometimes.
Yeah. What do you get out of that? And then
A few days later, Capo jumped on IG again, admitting he only used the heat from the beef to go viral and push his hustle. But fans weren't buying it one bit. To them, Jim had just made the biggest mistake of his career by coming for Nas yet again. And this time, the backlash was even louder.
So naturally, everything viral turns digital, and digital ends up with streams and turns into a revenue stream for me, of course. And I'm so on everybody's Explorer page. I'm at the top of this page. I'm at the top of that page. So whether you like me, don't like me, know who I was, and now find out who I was, one click away from making me.
Remember, Nas hadn't said a single word through all this. At least that's what everyone thought. Then out of nowhere, a new verse popped up on Raekwon the Chef's track Omerta after it leaked. And let's just say things got real messy. An alternate version hit the public, and Nas could be heard dropping lethal sneak disses, rapping, "If the shoe fits, this is for you." Suddenly, the silence wasn't so silent anymore.
Gold records, platinum records, gold albums, platinum albums. You know, me, Jim Jones. No diplomats, no nobody else. Me, Jim Jones. Check my track record, then check everybody else's track.
Hip-hop fans went crazy trying to piece it together, and to most people the target was obvious. The shoe had to be meant for Jim. The excitement was real, with everyone hyped that this could finally explode into a lyrical battle, since NAS had just fired back for the very first time. And let's not forget, Nas is a vet when it comes to lyrical warfare, while Jim has been acting like he's ready for all the smoke anyway. But here's the thing. The beef between these two didn't start yesterday. It didn't even start this year. This tension has been simmering since way back in the early 2000s. The original beef wasn't even with Jim at first. It was with Cameron, Jim's Dipset brother, during an era when the rap scene was stacked with tough competition. Back then, NAS was riding high with back-to-back platinum albums like Stillmatic and God's Son, while Jim Jones was just starting to find his lane and would break out a couple years later. The spark came in 2003 when Cameron dropped Come Home With Me around the same time Nas had released his project. Cam felt Nas was overrated and even mocked him for being fake deep. Nas clapped back by calling Cam whack. And just like that, Jim Jones inherited the beef out of loyalty to his Dipset family. What started as crew loyalty would eventually evolve into Jim versus NAS, and decades later, it's still alive. This might sound twisted now, but back in the day, the rap game ran heavy on loyalty. If you repped a crew, You were expected to ride hard for your brothers no matter what. So maybe, just maybe, Jim's stance wasn't completely off from the start. If Cam had smoke with Nas, then Jim was ready to carry it too. He wasn't having it with Nas, so he decided to go head to head. At first it came off subtle, but everyone knows Jim ain't built to stay quiet for long. That was the beginning of his dices, lines and tracks aimed right at Nas. Through interviews and freestyles, Jim started slipping in light jabs, mocking so-called fake smart rappers, and clowning super conscious artists in ways fans immediately connected to Nas. He dropped freestyles, backed Cameron's mixtapes with more subliminals, and even went as far as threatening to pull up in Compton just to double down on his words. Meanwhile, Nas rarely answered him directly, but fans weren't blind. They caught the subliminals too. Anytime Nas rapped about whack crews or wannabe Harlem gangsters, the streets knew he was firing at Dipset and Jim Jones without ever saying their names. By 2010, the beef looked like it had cooled off. Jim even called NAS one of the greatest MCs of all time and admitted he wished things between them had gone differently. But fast forward a decade later, and suddenly the feud reignited thanks to hip-hop legacy debates, the rise of podcasts, and non-stop rap chatter on Twitter. Old heads and new fans started revisiting the Nas versus Dipset saga, and Jim wasted no time jumping in. On platforms like Rap Caviar, he got real loud, questioning why Nas is always ranked in people's top 5 rappers list, saying flat out that nobody plays Nas in the clubs or in the streets anymore. To stir it even further, Jim ranked Drake above Nas when talking about the all-time greats, and of course, the backlash came heavy. At the same time, nobody was shocked either, because if there's one thing Jim is known for, it's being a die-hard Drake loyalist.
Man, that's all I'm doing is popping my shit. And this is what hip-hop is about. But for the most part, I got no problem with Nas. Shouts to Nas, shouts to all of them guys.
Who's most
like
influenced you now that you said that?
The rap world has been locked in on that leaked snippet, with fans hyped it could spark an official diss battle between two legends. But up to now, Nas and his camp haven't said a single word to the media. That hasn't stopped his fans, though. This time, they're not waiting for Nas to clap back. The entire rap world has been cooking Jim non-stop, dragging him from every angle. And honestly, there's only so much a man can take. Jim has witnessed firsthand how far Nas's fans will go, practically fighting to put his head on a platter. And just when it looked like Jim got exactly what he wanted, attention, chaos, and headlines, he suddenly started backing away, finally waving the white flag on this never-ending one-sided beef with Nas.
They know how many people love Nas. But people, and I'm watching people go absolutely back crazy, like, oh damn. But it's what.
So far, Jim has dropped a couple posts trying to spin the whole drama as nothing more than marketing, straight up clickbait to boost himself. But one thing is crystal clear: trolling Nas turned out to be one of the worst mistakes he could have made. What do you think? Was this all clout chasing or a serious shot gone wrong? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.